You have to dance, Katie. It's like the Ellen show.
Yes.
Nobody else is dancing. Who's Ellen?
Wait, are we broadcasting?
Oh, we totally are.
I have a live button, and also it says live on my computer.
I gave you the finger. That was the signal.
It's better than yours, damn right. It's better than yours, I could teach you. But I have to charge my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
Hey!
Damn right.
Very high-class operation here at the Size Queen Saturday headquarters.
Yeah, super technical.
At Size Queen Saturdays
Woo!
with Sarah in Oregon.
And Sarah, less of Sarah.
And our Queen of the Week.
Hi. Losing weight Kate or Katie or whatever you want to call me.
Just don't call her late.
Just don't call me late.
Yeah, I call you.
Don't call her before 2 a.m.
Right.
So we should call, instead of Queen of the Week, we should call them our booty call. This week, our booty call. Sorry, that's business talk. Let's get to the topic, ladies and gents. I'm covered in coffee.
I was
I'm
please
covered in
don't share
coffee.
all our secrets, Spoon. Not everyone needs to know.
Yeah, tell me about your secret, Sarah. Tell me in your sexy voice.
Spoon. Let me tell you something. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Bobby, yes, too, Bobby will enjoy this. Spoon. Questa una rosa. Se la tocca ti sboccia.
Shit, girl.
I know, right?
That makes me want Taco Bell.
It's Italian, slut. At least say you want Olive Garden.
It's Italian. You need a meatball.
That's like I'm always like, ooh, talk to Fat Sarah right now. Tell me about it.
That makes me want a spicy Italian sausage. That's what it makes me want.
Ooh, you eating something gooey? A little crunch in it? Fat Sarah. Anyway.
That goes with our topic this week, doesn't it?
Yes, it
Yes. So we had actually another show planned, and we have actually a super awesome guest coming on eventually when we can all get on the same schedule.
Yes.
Not that you're sloppy seconds, Katie.
No.
Because
Right, I can take what I can get. It's good.
Yeah, we just
But
promoted you.
yes, when that show didn't work out, we were trying to think of what other topic hasn't really been like discussed at length, and we decided to go with all three of us were clinically super morbidly obese, and I feel like there's a difference. Not that it's not hard to be obese or morbidly obese, but you do face some unique challenges when you're super morbidly obese, and your experience is a little bit different. So we wanted to cover that, and our good friend Katie, whom both of us who've laid in bed with at this point.
Yes. It's been dreamy.
Oh, I've done more than that. Just
It's
saying.
a true story.
Hashtag friend tasting.
Hashtag
So,
body shots.
oh
Hashtag-
yeah. What
Yeah.
that girl can do with a bottle and her breasts is
Right?
astounding. I mean,
I
there's
know.
no way to describe it. Just hope, Size Queen viewers, that one day you'll get the chance to see her party tricks.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Okay. So,
It's a true story.
I was barely clinically super morbidly obese. I mean, I guess depending on what calculator you're looking at it, because some say you have to be over 45 BMI, some say 50. Right? What do you think? What is the clinical definition in your experience?
I think it might be 45, but yeah, I've seen different things, and then you see the ones that have like different classes of obesity. Like my starting BMI was like 64, so I mean, if there's something more than super morbidly obese, that was where I was. I was like,
yeah, mine was like 67, which was crazy.
So
I was not. Can we create a new category, which is like
vaguely super morbidly obese?
what?
Vaguely super morbidly obese?
Yeah, maybe you guys were like extremely super morbidly obese, and I was like moderately super morbidly obese. It's like when a store advertises a sale, and then it's like buy one get one 25% off, and I'm like, what the fuck sale is that, store?
Yeah.
Hawk teas on my credit card. Hi, good morning. My BMI was 50.1. So, but still still I was like, and it was inching up, I guess, is where we're going with the first question.
Yeah.
So, you know, people have surgery at all different levels of BMI. Some people are kind of lightweights in our niche community. The only time you'll ever be referred to as a lightweight when your BMI is like 40 on the dot. So how does one, in your guys' opinion, why not stop the train sooner? What do you think was happening that your wake-up call was at 65 plus BMI? Sarah, say something insightful.
Damn, it's always me. Yeah, you know.
Talk about a plank.
Yeah, talk about my plank. I'm still trying to figure out, you know, why it got to the point that it did. So that's an ongoing, I don't know that I'll say struggle, but that's an ongoing process for me.
Oh, yeah, say process again.
Yeah, do it. Say it.
Process.
Yeah, tell me about your process.
I'll tell you about it later. I'll text you. No, I haven't figured it out yet, and I feel like that's an important part of the journey for me, and I won't feel like I've really conquered it until I get there. And that plays into the whole, you know, goal for me is not just reaching a certain weight. Goal for me is understanding where I was, why, and how not to go back there. And I don't feel like I can not go back there until I know why. Part of it was just giving up at a certain point.
Yeah.
It's like you get to the point where you're like, well, you know, if I have to lose 200 pounds or 250 pounds, who cares? For me, the other, I won't say complication, but issue is that because I'm tall and I have a big frame, I could like gain 25 pounds and not even like change sizes, or no one would even notice. So it kind of was like, even though my weight was creeping up and I might change a size every year or 6 months, like I just stopped caring because it wasn't like a huge thing. But when I stopped being able to buy clothes in a regular plus size store, like when I couldn't shop at like Lane Bryant, there was like one store that I could shop at here in Canada.
Yeah.
In all of Canada?
Yes, literally. I know. It got, you know, I was like, okay, this is...
That's like a new caliber.
Right, this is a new level of fatness. But it was almost like a vain thing. It wasn't even like, oh my God, I'm so fat, I'm gonna, you know, keel over and die. I didn't have any medical issues. I kind of wish that I did, to be honest, because I probably would have done something sooner. But I was actually, shockingly, quite healthy. But I knew that wasn't going to last forever. So, you know, I didn't have a big moment where I was like, oh, now I need to do something about this. It was a slow progression. But, yeah, I think the short answer is at some point I just gave up and stopped caring because I didn't think I could do it.
Yeah.
Right. So. Katie, how about you?
Yeah. I think it was just a long process of abusing food that just started when I was really young, and I didn't know a different way. And I used food as I used food as everything. And so it's still this process of trying to figure out how to do other things besides that to comfort myself. And I wish that somebody would have told me when I was like 18 years ago, when I was a size 24, that I was okay. You know, like that body issues and self-esteem was there too. Oh my goodness. But anyway, and then also I just think like it's just the cycle of, you know, I was this yo-yo dieter. So I would diet, I'd feel great, I would hit a mark, but it would never be goal. Like I never got down, and then something would trigger. So something, I'd go on vacation, I'd have an emotional something or other, and then it would just be this cycle again. And then instead of continuing to lose, I would gain that weight plus another, 20 or 50 or 100, whatever. And also, like Sarah, I stopped going to stores. I don't know if you guys saw my post on Facebook yesterday, but I
was so
excited to advance it later.
My first dress in a real store in a very long time, because I've just been so depressed about going into stores. I've always hated shopping. I'll shop for other people. I will tell you if that looks good or if it doesn't look good, but I will not. That was huge for me yesterday. So I haven't been like store shopping since 2006.
Wow.
So that's a big deal.
8 years, Katie. That's 8 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. We're going to talk about clothes a little bit more in a minute, but I know for me, I wrote something. Oh, I know what that means. Okay. I was taking notes, and they were like one word, and it says like size. Well, we're talking about what can that possibly mean?
Perfect.
I think for me, there were a couple of things at play. One was distorted body image.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I realized how big I was getting,
yes,
it was like I didn't see it happening as it happened. It would happen in waves. Like all of a sudden, I'd be like, "Oh shit." I'm like way bigger than I thought I was, but because you don't see it happening, even if your clothes are getting tighter, like my body image is so distorted, I didn't see it happening, and then it was like too late. And then I would get into what Sarah was talking about, which I like to call the what's one more drink on the Titanic syndrome, which is like, well, fuck it, the boat's going down, guess I'll just have another. Like at this point, you know, losing 120 pounds versus 150 pounds, it's impossible either way, so I may as well enjoy myself as I sink to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, you know, like.
Yeah.
What's one more drink on the Titanic syndrome? I think people...
Go ahead.
What?
I was just going to say, I have two things I need to interject quickly, or at least one. One is, I have my phone right here. If you are watching and you want to comment, you have a question, I'm just checking my email as comments come in. So if you have a question, we haven't done that before, but I'm going to try. So I can't promise how quickly we'll get to it, but I'm going to check and see. The other thing, because otherwise I'll forget if I don't say this, Katie said something I think is really super important, which is if someone told her, you know, at a specific point, you are okay, that would have made a difference. And I know I've said that in videos before. I am the same size today. I'm slightly smaller today than the smallest I ever was in high school, but no one ever said to me, Sarah, you are okay the way you are. It was always, Sarah, you are fat. Sarah, you are bigger than all the other girls. Sarah, you know, whatever. No one ever treated me or told me that I was okay the way I was.
Right.
Which is funny because now everyone's like, oh my God, but then it was like, you're so fat. And I get that it's high school and it's different and whatever, but it's really important to me, I think, for someone, and I've vaguely talked about this before, for someone in the community to advocate for happiness and being okay at any size, because we are also concentrated on losing weight and getting to a certain size, but you know, we need to also say you can be okay at whatever size. You don't have to get to goal. You don't have to be a size 6. If you know, only lose 50% of your excess weight, you're still a success and you are still okay. And the number on the scale or the size of your pants, that is not what is going to change your life about having weight loss surgery. So,
you know, I want to go back to the question before, but first I want to address that since we're there. But I agree, but I have found, just being completely honest, the more weight I lose, the more conflicted I feel about that. Like, my belief system that I could be happy at any weight was, in a lot of ways for me, enabling me or excusing me or being in denial, because I am just much happier now. I just am.
And I don't think that everyone can be happy at any weight, but I think there are people who can be happy, and
right.
it tends to be difficult because the only messages you get in the community really are, oh no, we all need to lose more weight. Oh, everyone is happy when you lose weight. Everyone is sad when you
or that you're only going to be happy if you're at goal.
That's right.
Right. You guys know my thoughts on that. That's still the last video I made because I don't know. Like, I have so much to say about it, but it kind of exploded, and I just am still processing it. But you know, that's true, but can we be honest? I don't know that I've ever met a super morbidly obese person, since that's our topic. Like, I don't know that I've ever met a super morbidly obese person that was happy, that was truly happy regardless of their weight.
There's definitely a line, for sure. I mean, there's definitely a line of which you might think, oh yeah, I'm fine the way I am. And
yeah, I thought I was happy. I thought I was living an awesome life, but now I feel like there's so much more that I'm doing, and I'm living, and I'm able to take more risks. And I thought, you know, I'm not going to let this fat stop me. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want to, and I'm going to just live life because that's the type of person I am. But in the back of my head, I always thought, like when I had to sit out for things because I couldn't do them, like that sucks. Like that is not what I want to be. And so now I'm able to not sit out anymore. Like I'm able to join in and do things that I haven't been able to do before. And that my previous Katie would have like justified it. Like, oh, you know, you're great at taking pictures. I took up photography because that was a good like outlet for me. You know, let me just get behind the camera. Don't worry about me. I'll just take the pictures for you, doing all of these active fun things. And now I'm the one who's like doing them instead of just sitting by and watching. So it's exciting. And also, to be perfectly frank, I'm still super morbidly obese. So it's kind of weird. Like, you have
to be getting close. What's your BMI?
Yeah, I guess we should figure that out. I don't know. I don't know when I'm no longer super.
I would bet based on, because I know how tall you are, because we've been very close to each other in physical.
Yes, we have.
Based on your height and your clothing size, that I know that you are, I would guess that you're not that far off from falling out of that category.
Yeah.
Ooh,
but,
that's exciting.
You know, you guys know I love an analogy.
Yes, you do.
I guess in a way, it's kind of like if you were a professional sports athlete. That's how into sports I am. I just call them sports athletes. If you were a professional sports athlete.
Like a plane flight.
If you were a professional athlete, but you were benched, that was your position. You were like, you never played. Part of you is like, well, at least I'm still an athlete. But in reality, being in the game, getting to play is so much better. You know, so you rationalize it. Well, at least I'm still, but you.
At least I'm wearing the uniform.
That was very insightful, Spoon. Very insightful.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll be here all week. Okay, so actually back to the original question now. I wanted to address two things that I don't remember who said now. Sizes. Oh, this was Sarah. So that you can gain 25 pounds and not change sizes. That's something that is definitely where I'm at now, where I'm 1 pound away from not even being obese anymore. And Sarah just fell into the overweight category yesterday. High five for being overweight.
So I love that we're like almost there together, Spoonie. That makes me so happy.
Is that the smaller you get, the less pounds there are between sizes.
Yes.
So like earlier this week, I shoehorned my loose skin stomach into a size 12 jean, and it's amazing how few pounds it takes to go from not even really being close to fitting into it to fitting into it. Whereas before, it was like I could go up and down 25 or 30 pounds and never know because I never used a scale because my clothes still fit. And so I
don't see it either. Like I've lost, and I mean, I've lost like 7-something pounds in the last 2 weeks, and I physically, not even my clothes, I can physically see that my body looks different. That is amazing to me. That is something that would have never ever happened before.
Right. So I dropped 7 pounds, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what?
People didn't even notice I had lost weight till I probably lost 100 pounds.
Yeah. Now people are like, did you do something to your hair?
Yes, did you do something to your hair?
113 pounds, bitches. Yes.
Wait, Spoon, where did you go?
Spoon.
Sorry.
Oh.
My ex-husband was on vacation this week, so we get my dog back while he's out of town. And she was all like looking at me forlornly through our sliding glass door, and so I had to ask Chris to let her in the other way because otherwise she'd just like be knocking the table over.
Karma.
But I'm with my doggy. I'm happy to have her back for a week. Yes, and what you said about like needing to lose, here you feel like you're making progress because man, you've lost 25, 30 pounds. When you're super morbidly obese, it takes other people forever to see it, and it can be demoralizing early on in your journey. You know, it can be really demoralizing. One other thing you said, Katie, you said this, you were talking about yo-yo dieting.
Yeah.
I thought we could address that because when you're super morbidly obese, I mean, it's no different than any other time, but maybe the risk of yo-yo dieting is harder. The amount it takes to feel motivated and like you have any sort of momentum is a lot greater. And the bounce back, I think, is a lot greater, too. So I used to say all the time, I'm great at losing weight. I kick ass at losing 30 pounds, but I am even better at gaining 60.
That's exactly right. Yeah. It's just, it's like I could go for, you know, a solid month, like, you know, I can do this, no problem, and then something triggers it, and then bam, like right back. And I think that this journey is helping me figure out what that bam is. And so every time I go on vacation, every time something happens to change up my routine, I get this a bit of like, okay, this could be that time where I like bounce back. But I've done it now, like, there's been many opportunities for that to happen, and still I'm continuing to be successful. And so it's this whole change in mind, like, there's not gonna be a bounce back, and that's the hardest part for me to remember, that I'm gonna be okay no matter if I go outside of my comfort zone, no matter if I take a vacation or eat something that I shouldn't have, like Kirk says, everything in moderation. You know, like it's just this whole new outlook on food that it's not my addiction anymore. And it will always be my addiction, but it's not controlling me to the point.
Hold on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not holding me back, and it's not holding me to, it doesn't have that hold on me anymore.
You are in recovery. That's the way I like to look at it. We're in recovery.
Yeah, we are. I mean, it's a serious,
I will
say, I don't know if you guys know this. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Spoonie.
Oh, after spending last weekend with you, you impressed me so much, because that is one part of the mental journey that I still struggle with. I feel like if I'm going to have fun, if I'm going to like have fun this weekend, or I'm going to go on vacation, part of me is still like, okay, then I'm off plan for this period of time. Like, I haven't gotten to the point where I feel like I can have fun and go away for the weekend and stay on plan at the same time. It's like I'm either on plan or off plan, and you are one of the first people I've met. I think Kirk is pretty good at this too, but I'm going to go ahead and throw Kirk under the bus for a minute and say that as a man, your metabolism is just, I mean, he doesn't have the same, maybe, you know, he makes amazing choices. He makes better choices than probably anyone I've spent time with overall, but he's found a way to balance moderation too, and still lose weight, which is something that I think is maybe a little more challenging for women than men. Not to say that he doesn't have challenges, because obviously he was morbidly obese, just like the rest of us at one point.
Yeah.
But you had so much fun, and I had no idea that you were completely sober, because you were laughing and goofing off and having as much fun as the rest of us. And when I thought back, I was like, man, you weren't eating the movie popcorn with us when we went to see Maleficent, but you were having, you know, and you were making these choices and still having fun, and that is part of the journey that I have yet to master. I was really proud of you, because I feel like you're really early in the game, and that's a pretty big part of not falling off the bandwagon, not falling into your old habits when your situation changes or when your environment changes.
Thanks, Spoonie. I don't know if, I don't think I've talked about this with you guys, but I have done some work with Overeaters Anonymous, and so that's been really helping me. I'm still like on step 1 and step 2, so like it's a process, but it's really been helping me with viewing food as something that I will always have and always need control over. And I don't know, I just feel like we can, like, I would have had some popcorn, but I didn't want any. I had my little like bottle thing, whatever that was. It was good. And also Kirk's like moderation thing, it's so hard for me, because sometimes one bite is a bite too many and a whole plate is not enough. Like, sometimes there's just those foods where I can't have them in my house. I can't have things around me like that. And so, yeah.
I don't think that moderation works for everyone, to be honest. It's not that I don't think it's something that people should aspire to have work for them or try, but
right.
I think there are people for whom moderation doesn't work. I mean, everyone's different, and everyone's issues with food are different, and not everyone can do moderation. So you have to find what is going to work for you.
And I can do moderation outside my house with people watching.
Right.
But I can't do moderation in my house by myself.
That's a really powerful statement, though, because, I think that's true for me, too, because Chris and I, when we go grocery shopping, my poor kids, they're like, can we have some crackers? And neither of my kids are overweight, and Chris and I are like, no, we can't handle that. Like, I'm sorry that I have to punish your choices because of my inability to moderate. Yeah. But, like, no, kids, we can't have that in the house.
When you turn 18.
Yeah. And I feel bad, but really that's what Chris and I have to do to stay on plan. Yeah. Like, I can't handle, like, our kids can have pretzels in the house because neither of us, like, crave pretzels. And I can have one pretzel. And, like, that fixes my salty crunchy. What I can't have in the house is basically anything else.
Yeah.
I need food in my house. Spooky,
so we found,
we have a question when you're ready. We have a question from
Okay, hold on. One more thing about what Katie said, and I think you guys will have thoughts on this too. You know, as an obese person, it's hard to eat in front of other people. As a super morbidly obese person, I felt like everyone around me was watching me eat. Like, I ate better in public. When other people have trouble eating right, when you go out for dinner with friends, that was when I ate the best. Because I couldn't want the judgment.
Yeah, I agree. Although it depended on who I was with. If I was with, like, people I was really close to, like Max and Will and whatever, then I'm going to, like, eat everything. But that was also an enabling thing because they eat everything. And
and I would also, like,
no, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. I would also finish other people's things. Like, it was bad. Like, hey, are you going to eat those fries? Let me grab those. Or, you know, like,
are you going to eat that? My favorite pickup line. You know that, right, Spoon? What? Just want to tell everyone, if you need a good pickup line, it's what you do. You walk up to someone and you say, hey, you going to eat that?
Hashtag sex crime eyes.
It works. I know that it works, but it does.
Hashtag crimson eyes.
Sex crime eyes is how I landed waffle. Also, how messed up are my food issues that the first person I married was named Spoon and the man I'm going to marry goes by Waffle? Like, you know you're fucked up in the head.
There's that. I mean, I didn't want to say, but I was like...
Okay, what's our question, Sarah?
Okay, so our question is from... Hold on. And it's a good one, too. Optimistic...
First-time watcher... Wait, long-time watcher, first-time commenter.
Right, exactly. She just watches for the articles. Can I ask you, ladies, how do you cope with not being able to eat your feelings? Which I think is really... Yeah, that's a very good question.
I've talked to the lot. Oh, me?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, I'll be insightful. The answer, viewer, is I don't yet. I don't yet. I mean, the way I cope with not eating my feelings is, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. That's an ongoing struggle for me. There are times when I do. There are times when I still do. Chris and I talk about it all the time. I have a job that is so amazing, and I love my job, but there are days and weeks that are incredibly stressful. And this week I had a couple of those days, and all I wanted to do was eat. And the way I handle it now is I don't bring food with me to work. Period. End of story. I take a protein shake for breakfast or a yogurt for breakfast. I come home for lunch, and I go back without any food. Like, because I know from experience that if I have food with me and I'm stressed out, I will eat.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I'm at home, Chris and I have made a big commitment to support each other in getting these last 30 pounds off, and he'll just, like, belligerently stop me. Like the way that I actually never would have let anyone else do because they didn't understand.
Right.
You know, like, I never would have let my ex-husband say, you're not eating that, because that would have felt like a judgment. Mm-hmm. But because Chris has been there, done that, and we're on the same journey, he's like, no, you don't want that. Don't eat it. I'm not letting you. And I'm like, okay, you're right. So the answer is I don't yet. I am still struggling with that, and I probably will for the rest of my life. Yeah. And I don't have a better, insightful answer. Katie, how about you?
Well, that's something that I've also been kind of working through, and it's always going to be there, and I'm not a master of it. I don't think I'm never going to be a master of it, but I do know that my go-tos for just when I'm feeling blue is now I call someone or I text someone and just kind of talk about it. Or I've been feeling really stressed lately. It's the end of the school year wrap-up, and I have a lot of performances and it's stressful. And so the other day I went out and I did a couch to 5K wog sort of thing, and that would have never happened before. And oh, you're gonna see my pussy.
Oh, there's your pussy.
There's my pussy.
Hashtag
Okay.
I hate cats.
I know. I'm so sorry. And so basically, I leave the food. Like I have to walk away from it. Now that's not to say that I don't still use it and abuse it, because I do. But then my abuse of food nowadays is nothing like it was before. Like I had a popsicle and some jerky, like bacon jerky, and I was like, oh my God, I'm binging. And that before, like I could have eaten the whole house. So yeah, but just I'm also tracking everything with my food, and so I feel like I'm just being more honest with myself. So I may have a binge, but at least I'm tracking it and owning it, and then I move on, and I'm done, and there's no more guilt. Just move forward.
How about you, Sarah?
I won't say that I was never an emotional eater, but I generally do not eat my feelings. In fact, I tend to do the opposite. I tend not to eat when I have really strong feelings about things, especially stress or emotional distress. I don't eat. So that is the one thing that, unlike probably a lot of us in the community, I never really dealt with. I ate for other things. I just ate. Like, I was like, hey, I enjoyed food. I ate when I was bored. But when I was... And I probably ate when I was happy, actually. But I know usually when someone's asking about eating your feelings, they're talking about negative feelings. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't really an issue for me before. It hasn't really been an issue. Every once in a while, I'll find myself kind of wondering, like, okay, why, am I doing this? I do find that if I have like a craving for something, or I find myself binging, and totally what Katie said, binging now is like different than it used to be, but I do try and like think about what it is. Like, do I just want this? Is it like head hunger, or is it something else? Yesterday, Max and I went shopping, and he wanted to go to Godiva to buy chocolate. And I was like, yes, please. On the day that I've reached my lowest adult weight, please take me to Godiva chocolates, because that's so supportive of you. So we went into Godiva, and they had peanut butter cups. And peanut butter cups is like my kryptonite. Like, it's my favorite thing in the whole world. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to buy a peanut butter cup. But I didn't eat it. I still haven't eaten it. It's still sitting upstairs. I'll eat it eventually. But I won't allow myself to eat things like that when I am upset or whatever. So I actually will physically and mentally stop myself from eating when I'm upset or whatever it is. So if there is something that's off plan for me that I want to eat, I make sure when I'm eating it, it's because I want to eat it, and it's at a time when I am actually hungry and I'm going to enjoy it. It's not like shoving it in my face to try and, make myself feel better or hold something back or deal with my feelings. So even though it's not a big problem for me, that's how I deal with it at this point, is I'm always trying to be aware of why I want to eat certain things, and if I do want to eat something off plan, I make sure that I don't do it when I'm emotional, if that makes sense.
That's good stuff. I'm still working on it for sure.
Yeah.
Sarah, I want to talk to you, both of you, but about something that you said in one of your earliest videos that has stuck with me. I still think about it sometimes. And that is, in relation to one of the things, okay, let me preface it this way. One of the things I've noticed is I was not so obese that I was what you referred to, this is what stuck to me, as circus freak fat. Mm-hmm. Right? I was the point of fat where I felt invisible. So how has the transition for you go? I mean, when you consider yourself the kind of fat that circus freak fat, I assume people stared at you pretty much wherever you went.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I felt invisible. Like, people started looking at me as I lost weight, and I was like, whoa, they're like looking at me? That's weird. But you probably went through the opposite transition, which is people stared at you and then maybe they didn't. And how has that transition for you gone as, you know, what's that? That's a different kind of experience than maybe just morbidly obese or obese people go through, is that having that feeling that, like, everyone is like, you know, I was talking to Chris about this last night when we were coming up with questions, and I was like, you know, Sarah said that she used to be circus fat, and he was like, oh, you mean the kind of fat where even though you and I were super morbidly obese, we'd look at each other and be like, damn, she's big. And I was like, yes. Yes, that. So can you talk about that a little?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about it the other day because for some reason just lately I've noticed a lot that, and you know how it is, and I still do this 18 months out, you're always looking at yourself. You like pass something reflective, you look at yourself. You like store window, you look at yourself. But what I've stopped doing is I don't just look at myself, I look at myself in relation to other people. And I've started to realize that I just look normal. I'm not small, but I look normal. No one would probably see me and go, oh, wow, she's big. They'd be like, oh, she's overweight, but it's not the same, right? So, yeah, I absolutely felt like people, not just felt like, I know that people stared at me before and were like, oh, my God, she's huge, you know. And then I did go through a period where I felt like that kind of stopped, but I still was big. And now... And I talked about it, I think, after I came back from a cruise that I went on with my mom in January. I would say to her, like, people are looking at me and I don't understand why. Like, what are they looking at? Like, do I have toilet paper on my shoe? Like, what is the issue? And Kirk and I talked about it, and he said, no, Sarah, you know, first of all, I'm 5'10". I wear heels. Like, I physically am kind of an imposing, statuesque woman. But he said,
well, and you're very particularly stylized. Like, you make an entrance. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would look at you if you were walking down and I didn't know you. Just if anything else, to just take in, like, you have a look that you go for, and it's not like a look where you're trying to blend in. Like, you have a look.
You know, it's the hair, it's the makeup, it's the way you walk, it's the way you carry yourself. It's the whole thing. He said, but they're not looking at you in a negative way. They're just looking at you. And I was like, oh, okay, because I always felt like someone looking at me was them judging in a negative way. I never thought, oh, that person is checking me out. But I actually have had the experience lately where I realized someone actually is checking me out. And I was like, oh, that guy is checking me out. And that's like totally weird.
Taylor.
Like,
it's totally weird. It's Fleet Week in Portland, so I'm all, hello, sailor. All the time.
You should have told me. I would have totally come to visit.
I know. I came the wrong weekend, Sarah.
Semen all over the streets.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Katie, I hope that's not an offensive question.
No, it's actually quite prevalent, and so I've just swung the other way, waka waka waka, where so I was walking down the street, I would hear whispers, I would hear like things, and then also just working with kids. I mean, kids are on it.
That was my follow-up question, so let's just get right to it.
Okay, well, they would, and they still are, but my attitude about things have changed. So, like, kids would just be like, why is your tummy so big? Or, are you going to have a baby? Or, and I think it just stems from more curiosity because, honestly, lots of people, I don't have any morbidly obese friends. Like, people don't see people like me often. I mean, to the point where there's morbidly obese, and so that's I put a video up. I don't remember. I think I mentioned it in one of my videos. But now I feel like I'm the normal fat, like that people accept me because this is the normal fat size. Like before, I was like, oh God. You know, like that woman needs some help. And now I'm like, oh, these, you know, like I'm just like anybody else. And so that's been very different for me to just kind of, when I walk into a room now, instead of like glancing around to see if anybody's looking at me, like people, it's the whole attitude has changed. And then also with kids, now I'm telling all my students that I'm trying to get healthy and that I'm trying to be a healthier person, and so We talk about exercise because we don't get it in, I mean, we get PE, but we don't get people talking about it. And so I'm trying to share with them what I'm doing. I didn't tell them really that I had surgery. I just said that I'm trying to be healthy because I don't think they really, I think that would be.
Have the kids that you work with noticed that you've lost weight? Have there been comments in that direction?
Yeah. So I was wearing, Sarah, I was wearing your black and white skirt the other day, and one of my kids was like, your legs, they were like this, and now they're like this. And I was like, okay.
Well, so, and the great thing about kids is it almost never comes from a place of judgment. It's just a place of curious observation. So, like, if a kid says that to you, there's no ulterior motive. There's no, like, let's try to make her feel good because she's lost a little bit of weight. Like, that's like an honest observation. That's like a mirror. That's a reflection.
And I feel like now I don't really care about it's kind of morphing in my mind, like my weight, like it doesn't consume me as much. Like people will be like, oh, I'm never going to tell anybody my weight. And I'm like, I'm not going to be in this weight again. So I'm going to say it. Like, I don't care. You know, it doesn't own it. Yeah, I'm going to own it. And then
there comes a point in super morbidly obesity when your weight is like Voldemort.
Yeah.
Right? Like saying it somehow gives it more power.
Well,
if you're losing weight, it's the reverse. It's like, I'm going to say it because saying it gives me power. Like, exactly. I'm in control of my weight, so I can say it because it doesn't own me the way it used to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't look at the scale for, like, 2 years because I knew that I didn't want to see it. Like, I was just like, I know that I don't want to know what that number is because whatever that number is.
Did your weight surprise you when you finally did? When you finally did step on a scale after 2 years, were you shocked?
Yes.
Yes. Do you still feel like people judge when you tell them, like, okay, I find that if someone asks me how much weight I've lost, usually they won't ask me what my starting weight was. They'll ask how much weight I've lost.
But then they do the math.
I'm comfortable saying that because I feel like they still judge. Like, oh, holy shit, why were you so fucking fat? Like, especially with someone I don't really know. So, do you guys feel that? Like, are you happy to tell people how much weight you've lost? Are you proud of it? Or is there a part of you that's still like, these people are still going to judge me because now they're going to know I was super morbidly obese?
Fuck yeah, I'm proud of it. Every single pound is like a trophy to me. I worked for every single pound, before surgery, after surgery. Some of them I didn't have to work as hard for, but I can tell you right now, I have busted my ass this week. I've eaten under 800 calories every day, under 20 carbs. I worked out 4 times, and I lost 1 pound. Every day. Every day, like a soldier. Every day, like, you know, one of the things when I owned my own business is I'm into football. You know, sports athletes. I'm into football. And I used to say that you never win the game with a Hail Mary pass. You win the game by first down after first down after first down. And it's just like, it's trudging. Some weeks you trudge through the mud to get to the battle, and some weeks you get airdropped in. And you never know what week it's going to be what. So yeah. I am proud. So some weeks I got airlifted in. You know, early in surgery, I got airlifted in. But weeks now, I'm like in the trenches, World War I style, and it's like I am proud. Either way, it was a battle. Either way, I've been at war. It doesn't matter how I got there. Either way, I've been at war, and I'm proud of every single pound. And when people say, whoa, you lost that much weight, I was like, yeah, I did. Yes, I did. What did you do this year? You know, I used to say that actually when I was pregnant. I would have, like, not done anything all day because I was in pain. Whatever. You know how you have days when you're pregnant. That
I'm making a person, okay?
Yeah, no. My ex-husband, when he'd be like, what'd you do today? And I'd be like, made a nervous system out of nothing.
I used to always say, I made an asshole, leave me alone.
I made a brain today. What'd you do?
Yeah.
No, so that is kind of how... That is how I feel about my weight loss, too. I'm like, yeah, I've lost 130 pounds this year. I'm proud of it. But I also am at the point where I just don't give a shit if people care how big I'm at an I don't give a shit point, which is I know that I've worked hard for everything I've accomplished this year, and if you have a problem with that, good luck finding another friend. Like, I'm just not into it. I'm not going to engage you. I'm not going to empower that feeling.
I want to be there.
Sorry, that was the wrong answer. What?
I just lied to someone the other day who asked how much weight I lost. Like, sometimes I try and change the subject. Sometimes I just throw out a number. I think I said 175 pounds. Because if I say 250, it sounds like I can tell by their face that they're like, how? Oh, my God. Like, yeah. Anyway, that's my issue.
No, that's really interesting. That's crazy. I tell people how much you've lost all the time. They're like, how much weight have you lost? I'm like, 130, but my best friend's lost like 800 pounds.
That's what I can start telling people. Actually, I've lost 800 pounds.
I used to weigh a ton.
It's like I want to tell people I'm 50, so they'll be like, damn, you look good. I'm like, I know, right? Maybe I'll say I've lost 400 pounds. You know.
Yeah.
How about you, Katie? Do you feel
Katie,
telling people?
I tell most people because I'm still in that, like, yay, excited, like, I'm doing awesome stage.
And you are. And by the way, I've been trying to listen to Spoon talk, but really I'm just looking at how beautiful you look today.
Oh.
Shut your whore face. I'm in the t-shirt. Katie? You do look hot today. Actually, I like your hair like that.
Thank you.
I'm in a Van Halen t-shirt and booty shorts. Recognize.
Hey, you look hot today too, Spoon. I'm sorry.
So I think that I do tell people, but I also I am going to this wedding in Pennsylvania, and I have some aunts who are pretty judgmental. So I'm trying to figure out a way, because it's going to happen. The topic's going to come up, and they're going to do like the whole like, oh, you know, like that sort of thing. And so I mean, I'm trying, because I'm usually an open book, so I don't really care. But I don't know. I don't know how that's going to happen. And my counselor says it hasn't happened yet, so don't worry about it. But I'm still worrying about it. But usually I do. I tell people because I think 113 pounds is pretty epic. And I also feel better, but I also try to use it as a catalyst to talk about body issues and weight issues. And if somebody approaches me, like I've had about 3 or 4 people approach me because they've noticed a difference and they want to know why, so that they can do something too. And so it's been kind of an inspiring thing as well, where I get to talk to people that I didn't want to approach, because that's also another thing. Like, I'm way more hyper aware and hypersensitive of super morbidly obesity and just obesity in general, and I just want to reach out to people, but I also know that I was there before, and I didn't want anybody reaching out to me. It's so personal, and it's so it's just your own personal thing. Like, it's such a taboo subject in our society. So whenever somebody does approach me, I do talk to them honestly. And a couple of my coworkers and a couple of my friends, like, there's people who are now looking at surgery because of our conversations. So I think that's great. Or however you want to lose it, however you want to get healthy is awesome. Just do it.
So this happened to me when I really started to pack on those last 50, 75 pounds. I mean, that happened quick. I was morbidly obese for a while, and then I like skyrocketed into super morbid obesity, like a boy band run by, what's his name? The gross guy.
Lou Pearlman?
Yes.
One for Sarah.
Okay. One of the members of LFO did a Howard Stern interview about Lou Pearlman, and you have to listen to it after we're done. It is the weirdest and funniest thing I've ever heard. So, Rich Cronin did the interview about Lou Pearlman.
A couple years ago, which was sad. Yeah.
But after we're done, listen to his interview online with Howard Stern, the best thing ever about boy bands. Okay. But, so I skyrocketed in, and there came a point that never happened. People would talk to me about my weight when I was obese, but when I got super morbidly obese, my mom straight up had an intervention with me. Like, just one-on-one, mano a mano, but she, like, confronted me, like, you need to do something. Did you guys have that experience where all of a sudden people were more concerned about your health and your weight than you were? I think that's something kind of unique to super morbidly obesity, where people are like legitimately like, you're gonna die if you don't take this on, and soon, like way before your time, not a little bit before your time, but way before your time.
Yeah.
Katie, you're nodding.
Yeah, I did. One of my best friends, she's actually the one who I'm doing the triathlon with in August. We've been battling our weight since we started knowing each other, which was like 2003. And so we were like Weight Watcher buddies, and we were workout partners, and we would fail together, and we would do the whole cycle like all together. So, so she hit goal. Like she stopped. She started clean eating, and she cut out like everything, and she hit goal this year. But last year, she and her husband do bike rides and like triathlons, like it's every Saturday. Anyway, they're just crazy athletic now. And so she lives overseas, and she's not what?
Sports athletes.
A sports athlete.
Athletes, yeah.
And so last year she hadn't seen me because she lives overseas, and so she saw me in the summer, and I remember us walking around this little part of town, and it was just like 3 blocks, but I couldn't do it. Like I could not walk like 3 blocks. And so I remember us just having this huge heart-to-heart in my car, and we're crying, and she's like, I just don't want you to die. And I was like, I don't want to die either. And so that was like one of the moments. And then also I just remember at my birthday last year in August, my mom and I had a heart-to-heart too, and that's actually when I decided, like, I can't do this on my own. Like, I've tried so many things, and so that's when I really looked into weight loss, because I thought about it a long time ago, but I just didn't have the means or the way to do it, and so then I did, and so that's kind of the whole thing that started it last summer. So yeah, I had some pretty deep heart-to-hearts with people, and I knew in my head, but I needed someone else to talk about it, because nobody talks about it. Like everybody, it's just like this huge elephant in the room that you're and nobody says anything.
There's a fine line between being compassionate and understanding and respecting someone's personal issues and enabling them. Like there's a very fine line between those two things, and it takes the right person to cross that line. And come back from enabling behavior to having the heart-to-heart. Yeah, Sarah, how about you? Did you have interventions?
I didn't, which is probably a shocker to a lot of people. Not because the people in my life didn't care about me, probably mostly because of my personality. I'm like more stubborn than a mule. Like nobody can tell me anything.
I tell you shit all the time.
That's true, but I don't listen. Yeah, it's not even that people can't tell me things. They just know I'm not very easily swayed. Like when I think something or I've made a decision, good luck with changing my mind. So if I don't want to do something, you're not going to make me do it. And in fact, and I get this from my dad, if someone tells me to do something, it makes me want to do the opposite, just because I'm like, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
So, no, it didn't really happen, and I just think it's because people figured, like my parents or Will or whatever, people figured, she's not going to listen anyway. And rightfully so, I wouldn't have. And that's why I never really talk about it with people, unless I might bring it up and then see if they want to talk about it, but I would never approach someone, because I feel like I was cut off, until a certain point, until I was ready to accept it. There was nothing anyone could have said. And so I have to respect that about other people, that maybe they're not in a place to, be open to the idea. And
in fact, I think it hinders. When you're not ready to hear it, it hinders. It makes you feel bad about yourself. It perpetuates the cycle, and I don't want to do that. But Chris and I say to each other all the time, we'll be like, da-da-da-da-da, this person. And then, like, as an aside, we're like, she needs the sleeve. Like, we say that all the time, or we'll see someone on the street, and I'll be like, man, I wish that person would get the sleeve. But I would never say that to...
Right, yeah. You're not going to stop them and be like... Yeah. No, that's not something... It's not like I've never wanted to, but it's not something I would ever do. It's not even something I would do at this point. The most I've ever done is somehow try to work into conversation that, you know, I've lost a lot of weight or whatever, but I won't even force it. Like, unless it naturally somehow comes up, I wouldn't just be like, oh, did you know that, you know, like, yeah.
One thing I want to talk about associated with super morbid obesity is one of the things I experienced, and I'm sure it's the same for you, so let's see if we can come up with a couple of NSVs, is I didn't realize that I was having mobility issues until I didn't have them anymore. Like, it had become my normal, so they didn't seem like mobility issues because it's just the way I had to move. Like, I was still able to accomplish it, but then when I didn't have it anymore, I was like, whoa, I was, like, really fat. Like, I was, like, the kind of fat that affects the way that you live your life, you know? Not just, like, so fat it's unhealthy, but, like, I was so fat it affected the way I moved. And one of the things, I guess it's not technically a mobility issue, but it is associated. One of my big NSVs is I used to have to take a breather between tying my shoes. Like, if I was going to tie a shoe, I would hold my breath so that I could bend over and tie it. Then I'd sit back up and pause for a minute so I could catch my breath. I mean, like, that's the kind of fat that's affecting your mobility. So can you guys pinpoint anything, and if you can't, it's okay, we can just talk about it in general, that you didn't realize was a problem because super morbid obesity was your new normal until it was gone?
Yeah. Well, I wore slip-ons because I hated tying my shoes. And I couldn't do that, that's for sure. I also think just getting up and down off the couch, like my dad noticed something once and I had no idea, but it would take me a long time. Like, I'd have to, like, kind of shuffle up and then, like, do this, like, kind of old man, like, get up off the couch. Like, it was a process. And when I went, it was a process. And when I went home, like, I think it was 2 months out, he was like, you just got up off the couch. And I was like, yeah, because I didn't realize what I had done before. And so that was also something that was just getting around or moving off of a piece of furniture took this huge process. And then what else? There was one more that popped into my head.
Oh my God. Getting off the floor for me was like making a 3-point turn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like, one does not simply get off the floor when they're super morbidly obese.
No.
I'm still working on that one, but at least I can now sit on the floor. That was because I used to sit in my little music chair and teach the kids music, but now I'm able to, like, sit around with them and sit on the floor and do our little music things. I'm still doing the 3-point turnaround, but it's really fast now. So hopefully someday I'll be able to, like, not do that.
My issue with sitting on the floor now is my ass hurts. It's not even getting up.
Right? Nobody tells you that.
Yeah.
Nobody tells you about the bones you have in your butt.
Right? I'm like, where did those come from? That's uncomfortable.
I had no idea.
I think that for me, there's not necessarily, like, super specific things, but because I gained weight slowly over time, I just continuously got bigger and bigger and bigger. I just got used to that being my normal. And so I didn't realize how many things I couldn't do the way I sat, you know. Like, now I'll be like, oh, I can sit with my, like, legs drawn up, or I can sit with my legs crossed. Like, I couldn't do that before. My legs would fall asleep if I tried to cross my legs. Or, like, sit, like, what do they call it? I know we're not supposed to call it Indian style.
Crisscross applesauce.
Right, crisscross applesauce. Yeah, my legs would fall asleep if I did that. Like, I would literally lose feeling in my legs. And even just things like I didn't want to move. Like, I don't even want to say lazy. It was just like any exertion was a lot for me. So I didn't want to get off the couch. I didn't want to go for a walk. I didn't want to, you know, I wanted to park close to, now I park far away on purpose. I wanted to park as close as I could because I didn't want to have to walk that far.
Yeah.
So,
You know,
having to go shopping was like, oh my God, I have to walk through the store. Like,
I haven't thought about this, actually. You saying that reminded me, but this is an interesting thing I haven't done since I lost weight. So I don't talk about it a lot in videos, but I identify as Zen Buddhist, and I practiced for a long time in a temple. And we just happened to move farther. The temple was already far away from me, and then we moved like 20 minutes farther away. So I haven't attended, but the practice that I used to attend was 20 minutes of sitting meditation. I won't use the official name just because I don't understand. Then like, oh, a couple minutes of walking meditation, then another 20 minutes of sitting meditation, and then there was what I will refer to as a service, just for a frame of reference. I used to pretend like I didn't want to do the walking meditation. Like it's not that I didn't like it, it's just that I got more out of the sitting meditation because my leg would fall asleep, and the first time I did the walking meditation between sitting, I straight up fell on my ass because my leg was so asleep I didn't know it was asleep, and I tried to take a step, and like it just slipped right out from under me and I fell, and I never did walking meditation again. And so I have not tried going to service since I lost weight. I should try that. I haven't thought about that in a long time.
You should.
Sorry, that was a little side.
So Miss Katie has to go in a few minutes, so we're going to have to sadly wrap it up. But I know that you had...
Hold on. Oh, I have one
more
more
question. So
I have one more important question. Oh, wait.
Pick the most important one.
It's not the most important one, but I think it's a really important one, and that is, you know, for some people, plastics is a luxury, or it's just, you know, it's something they'd like to do so they can be happier with their body. There comes a point in super morbid obesity when plastics is a medical necessity. And so I know Sarah's plan. She can say again, though everyone in the world knows Sarah's plan.
Everyone.
Talk about how knowing that you probably need to have plastics and your current situation with loose skin and your plan for plastics. And we'll start with Katie first. So if she needs to bail, she can go.
Okay. I am hoping that I'll be able to do plastics about 3 years out. I want to get as much done as I can. I'm not going to lie. But I'm hoping that my insurance will cover and I don't know the terms for it. So the tummy part, like, there's a panis, is that what it's called? It reminds me of penis, which is so weird. Anyway, and then, so I'm documenting everything right now. And this might be too much information, but already when like any rash or anything, I just take a picture of it so that I can document it. And then my insurance said that my doctors said that my insurance should pay for the panis part, and then I can supplement it with whatever else I want. So I will probably be having my boobs did, and my thighs done, and my arms. And I don't know. I mean, I'm still so far out, but I know I'm going to have, I already have it. It's already happening. So, but at this point, I kind of see it as like these are my battle scars. Like my saggy skin is part of who I am, and it's a part of where I've come from. And it might shrink miraculously, but from everything I've read and everything I've seen, it doesn't. So I think it's a little different because I will have like my body is light up on the top but heavy in the middle, and so I think that I'm going to have a lot of skin issues that will need to be taken care of. So so that's kind of my plan. I'm still really early on, so I don't really know what's going to happen. So.
I know that one of the things that Sarah goes through there, I've never phrased it this way, is that some of her shame about her fat has been transferred to shame about loose skin. Like self-shame, self-shame.
Yeah.
Do you suffer from that yet, or do you worry about that, Katie? We talked last weekend a little bit about you documenting stuff and you knowing that plastics was probably in your future. So have you given that much thought how you're going to address shame transfer, or...
Well, I think it just goes along with the whole mental part of this journey, and just body image in general. Like we had a fucked up body before, and we have fucked up bodies now, but there's so much more of us that we're doing so much more, and I guess I haven't gotten there yet because it's not as prevalent yet because I still have lots of fat in there. So ask me in about 6 months.
Okay.
But yeah. I still am uncomfortable in my body. I still have a huge self-image situation going on where I look in the mirror and I don't see myself as beautiful yet. But I think I don't know what's going to... What?
Fine. Look at your, like, I was looking at your cheekbones. I'm like, damn, hers are, like, boom. I'm like, I want those.
Even though I had watched videos and talked to people before I had surgery, I still think I prescribed to the myth that having surgery would give me a body that I wanted. Because at super morbidly obese, I cared about being thin. And spoiler alert, pre-ops, surgery does not give you a body that you want.
No, it doesn't.
I wore kind of a short dress yesterday. It was an Ann Taylor dress, and it was probably 4 or 5 inches above the knee. I mean, like it was like cross your legs when you're sitting down kind of dress.
Yeah.
Or have Katie there to protect your privates, one or the other.
I'm a good private
and
protector.
You could see some of my. You could see some of my saggy thigh skin when I wore it. And I remember I stood in the mirror yesterday morning and I was like, this is that point when you decide if you're just going to own it and wear the clothes that you want to wear, or if you're, and then I realized if anyone's looking at my saggy skin on my lower thigh, like, more power to them, but I don't think other people are going to notice. But I wore the fuck out of that dress yesterday, and you could see my loose skin. I was really proud of myself. That's
nice
the first
job,
time I've
Spoonie.
That is amazing.
That's the first time I've publicly exposed my loose skin, like not just wearing pajamas when friends are over or whatever, but like the first time that I wore something where you could see my loose skin, and I just I was like, yep, we're doing it.
Yeah.
But it sucks, and I don't have as much as I know Sarah has, and I didn't have as much to lose. So Sarah, Katie, if you have to bail, go ahead whenever you want to. Don't ask for our permission.
Right. I love you guys.
Thank you, Katie. Have fun this weekend.
Thank you. I will.
Bye, girl.
Bye.
So I guess I'll answer the loose skin question and then the plastics question, but let's be real. I had a conversation a little while ago where I was talking about how if I were ever single, and actually I remember talking about this in Tampa too, how if I were ever single, that I would be horrified by the idea of having to date. Because I was probably more confident when I was super morbidly obese than now. And the reason why is because I felt like before, if you looked at me in clothes or you looked at my body, you would have an idea of what you were getting. Now I feel like the loose skin is like my little secret. It's my dirty secret. And you might think
now you're like a J.J. Abrams TV show now.
Yes. I'm like
you take your clothes off and people are like, whoa, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, like the shit comes off and then it's like, whoa, it's like the smoke monster up under there. Like, I'm like, no. And I literally said, I don't think that I could consider being intimate with someone because I'm so extremely self-conscious about how I look. I mean, my husband is my husband. He's seen me through the whole thing, but the idea of anyone else at any point before I had plastics, and maybe even after, I don't know, but I was just like, I don't know that I could do that. I'm still not at the point where, even if a little bit of my arm shows or my knee, like, I have big issues. And I know that they're my issues, and I know most people wouldn't care.
I don't think most people will care, but I think that if I was dating right now instead of in a monogamous relationship, it's like trying. When do you drop that bomb? It's like having to tell someone like, I have herpes, or like by the way, I have 3 kids. I know I haven't told you, but Tricky do.
That's
like,
almost
how
it feels, and it's like, wow, like how would you? And I talk about that just to illustrate, like, that is the level of shame that I have about my body, and that sucks. I don't want to feel that way. And I wish that I didn't. And I don't, I'll be honest in saying I don't know how to fix that. I don't. It's just not I know that it can be worse. I'm grateful that it's not as bad as it could be. And I'm grateful that I will have the opportunity to have plastics. I have the means to have plastics. And that's huge. I mean, if I didn't, I don't know, that would be a big deal. I knew from the beginning plastics would have to be on the table. It's not even a question of how I look. It's a question of being able to be active and live my life fully. The loose skin is uncomfortable. It makes it hard to run or be active. you know, there's just all kinds of issues associated with it outside of how hideous it is. So, and it's something I have to say that obviously a lot of people are concerned about, because the video that I made where I showed my loose skin on YouTube has almost 25,000 views. As compared to the video I have that I think might have 2,000 views. So
no, your loose skin views are all me. Late at night.
It's just you watching it over and over again.
Late at night.
And I actually thought it was probably creepy men. I'm sorry, guys, but I honestly was like, it's probably perverts watching it. But if I look at the analytics, it's 90% women who are watching that video. So I know that it's people who are watching it because they want to know, you know, and that's why.
Also, I had no idea. I had no idea you could look at analytics. Yeah. That's how into YouTube I am. Have you considered, just let me be Dr. Sarah for a second. You know I like to be Dr. Sarah, where I pretend like I'm a psychologist, even though I have the majority of my education in food and wine.
Yes, I love that.
Have you considered that you have fat shame when you're fat, self-shame associated with being fat, and now you have loose skin shame? Have you considered that when the loose skin is gone, you'll still have shame issues? They'll just transfer again?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
because a certain amount of that has to be just your relationship with yourself, and you direct it, you like project it onto something, right? And that's something I've learned in losing weight, is I used to project fat shame onto myself, and unless you address the shame, you're just going to transfer the shame elsewhere. Even if you make your own choices, even if you self-sabotage and start making bad choices so that you have something to feel shameful about, because you have an addiction to shame at that point after living so long.
Yeah, I absolutely feel that way. I feel like part of the reason I got to morbid, I didn't talk about this, and I should have, because this is a really important part of my truth, I guess, is that I know that part of the reason I got to where I got was because I never felt like, I think I talked about this in a video once, like, as far back as I can remember, 2-3 years old, there was something wrong with me. The message was always, Sarah, there's something wrong with you. You are too big. You are too fat. You need to lose weight. That was my whole life. I never remember anything different. And that's not to place blame on my parents or my family or society or anything. But that was always the message that I got. And so that was the only thing, you know, I felt I could be. And that's why I'm struggling so much now with my self-image. And, you know, I'm fully aware that even after plastics, I mean, I'm not going to have a perfect body. I'm going to have less loose skin, but I'm going to have scars. I might have, you know, who knows, right? So that's something that I'm going to need to address, because I realize it's not just the loose skin that is causing those issues, that there's a lot more to it. So, but, you know, and I'm hoping that talking about that will somehow help other people through the same thing, because, you know, just like my weight loss journey, I plan on documenting my plastics journey and how that affects everything as well. So
I think, you know, I definitely think I've transferred my shame. I have loose skin, for sure I have loose skin. Luckily I'm with a partner that also has loose skin, so maybe I'm not as self-conscious of it as someone else would be, because that's just our normal. Like saggy thighs, we both have that. Like, no, I don't have to feel shameful about it because it's not in contrast to another naked body I see that doesn't have loose skin, you know? But I definitely think I've had a shame transfer, and it's something I'm working through. Like, you become, I don't know that addicted is the right word, but feeling shame was my normal, and it is weird to suddenly not feel that again. And so it's just your normal. Feeling shame is normal. So I felt like I went looking for something else to feel shame over, because I didn't know how to not, it doesn't feel okay. I will say this is something that's really powerful me that I'm dealing with now. It doesn't feel okay to not feel ashamed of something. I feel like if I don't feel ashamed of something, it's representative of me not being honest with myself about choices I'm making, or like the lack of shame is uncomfortable for me. Right? Is that a weird thing to say?
I don't think so. I mean, I think I feel that way too to some degree. I feel like it's uncomfortable for me to feel okay with myself, because I was never allowed to be okay with myself before. And it's this weird dichotomy, because in some ways I feel as good about myself as I ever have, and yet all of a sudden I realize that that's just the surface thing, but underneath all of these, just because of various things that have happened recently, all of these feelings being self-conscious, not feeling good enough, like all of these things have suddenly come up, and I was like, whoa, where did that come from? That was a surprise. I thought I was okay.
I believe what I said to you is weight loss surgery is a gift. There's no doubt about that. Everyone knows that weight loss surgery is a gift. But what happens is you open it up and you find out that the gift is all the problems and issues you've been avoiding and denying your whole life. And then you're like, tricky do.
Absolutely.
Tricky do. Your present is problems.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, yay.
And smaller clothes.
Yeah. But yeah, that was, I mean, that's something that, and I think when you're early out, you sometimes don't understand why people who are farther out talk about how it's so hard. And you're like, what? I don't understand. Why is it so hard? Like, it's hard now. I can't fucking eat. Why is it hard?
I can't even watch my earlier videos because I'm sure I'll hate myself.
Right.
Like 3 weeks out, I was like, and now YouTube, I'll tell you about weight loss surgery.
Yeah.
That was probably an asshole.
Of the things you don't expect.
Yeah.
It's hard because of the things you learn about yourself. It's hard because you realize weight wasn't really the problem. And I know you've said this, that weight wasn't really the problem, it was the symptom. And that's hard to deal with.
Because I think when I was at my highest weight, I had convinced myself that that if I had lost weight, that would, it may not solve everything, but it would sure solve a lot of things. And the truth is, losing weight just allowed me to solve things. It didn't solve a thing. It just allowed me to solve things. Mm-hmm. But the real journey is in that. I have one more question. I'm sorry, should we see, are there any other questions? I feel bad that we said we'd answer people and then we ignored them.
You ask your question and I'll check.
Sarah, in the wise words of 80s and early 90s music, let's talk about sex.
Okay.
Or in the wise words of Color Me Bad, I want to sex you up.
Mm-hmm.
With my words right now. Sex as a super morbidly obese person is a unique experience.
It is?
Christopher had the most glorious description of it because his ex-wife was also super morbidly obese. So he said it was like two giant tortoises trying to have sex. Like, where like one eventually like climbed up on the other one, but it took a really long time, and then they just flopped around for a minute and hoped they were in.
Oh my word.
And then they fell off. And just hope they didn't land on their back, because you're never going to flip back over again. And I was like, that is amazing. And also the mental image of like a tortoise with Chris's face just like laboriously, like by the time you get on there, by the time you get in position, you're exhausted.
My God, there's 9
You no longer have the energy. What?
There are 9 people watching this video right now. I feel sorry for all 9 of them. But anyway.
I'm going to be straight up honest. I hated being on top when I was fat. I felt a moral obligation to as a married woman. But I faked more leg cramps, super morbidly obese.
I did not have to fake leg cramps, I'll tell you that much.
No, that's true. Sometimes they were legit, which is why faking one didn't seem like an egregious error. Because, like, if it didn't happen then, it was going to happen 20 seconds from then. But, yeah. Tell me about fucking at 460 pounds.
Well, you know, it was, I'll be honest, it was still good. Now, Oh,
yeah. No, girl still likes to get off.
Yeah, I was lucky that I was always really flexible. In fact, what stopped me from being more flexible was literally flesh. But I was always, like, physically very flexible. I didn't really have a lot of, like, real mobility issues. But, yeah, I mean, it's different. You get tired more easily. There's less on the menu. There are certain positions that just are not going to work. There are certain things you just can't do.
I'm about to get extremely specific, so turn it off if you don't want to hear this. Did you find yourself, let's say, on all fours more often because it was just easier? Like, I think penetration was easier on all fours than probably any other way.
Yes and no, because yes, but also it's my favorite, or one of my favorites anyway. I like it that way. So that's part of it. Even before, like even when I was not super morbidly obese, I enjoyed it. So yes and no. But I mean, yeah, there were times when we would try certain things and it was just like, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Let's not do that. So yeah, I mean, it was very different. But you know, it as you lose weight, it changes kind of slowly. So sometimes you just have this big realization, like, oh, maybe we could do this. Oh, okay. So you know, in the immortal words of a very good friend of mine, there's more on the menu now. But I didn't avoid having sex before. I didn't feel awkward having sex before. Even at my highest weight, it was, yeah. For me, it was not really an issue, but clearly it's better now.
I think it did happen slowly for me too, and then, you know, because I never had bad sex before when I was morbidly obese. I mean, certainly sometimes they're better than others, but I wouldn't say that, like, my sex life was bad or that I wasn't satisfied. But it kind of happened slowly where I found myself, like the menu shrank over time.
Right, yeah.
You know? And, yeah. I'm sorry, did you see any other questions?
No, it doesn't. Unless I missed something, I don't think there were any other questions.
Perfect. Do you want to say anything to me?
Oh, I just want to look at you.
Okay, just look at you for a second. Tell me, Cam, your earrings. You're always looking fierce, girl.
I call these my chola hoops.
Should we call it? I think our next episode, if we can get her, I mean, we're trying to get our schedule together, is going to be pretty exciting. I actually have to tell Fat Kings. I told her that I was going to tell Fat Kings that we peed on her first and they can't have her.
Oh, yeah, we totally peed on her first.
Oh, I peed all over her.
Sorry, Phil and Tyrone. Not happening.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyway, love you.
Love you, too.
Let's take us off live so that we can go dirty.
Yes, I agree. So, it's good to be the queen.
It's good